thing. And then I was feeling bad that I told her that. So then I said, you know, why don't you go ahead and.
Okay, we're call the meeting to order. The regular board meeting for the fire district. This meeting is per ORS 192.610 to 192.690. It's being recorded for 192.650, and they'll need a copy of this on our website soon. Patrick up there.
Expense, but I don't see who.
Not see Patrick.
No, I don't.
He's got quite the reputation, doesn't he? Okay, John, would you care to do the invocation?
Sometimes we walk in.
Almighty, merciful Heavenly Father, we thank you for your blessings today. We ask your presence here at this meeting, Lord, that you would guide and direct each one of us, Lord. That we'd conduct the affairs of the district in a timely and anyhow, Lord, we just ask you to bless this meeting. And we ask you to bless our firefighters, watch over them, bless their families. And bless the police officers who are out there serving us and other emergency personnel. Thank you in Jesus' name, amen.
Flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Director Miller.
Here.
Director Day.
Here.
Director McAdoo.
Present.
Director Silva. Here. And all of us present. Chief, do we have any changes in the agenda?
So the agenda in front of you is updated from what was sent by email. I believe there are 2 or 3 extra items on there, including the strategic plan, budget committee members, and C800 radio group.
Okay. And then if you guys didn't notice, we're having an executive session.
I heard that today, yeah.
Okay. Any board of directors have any changes to the agenda?
None for me.
Very good.
I'm okay now.
Very good. Okay. Business items. Consent agenda. With paying the bills and approving the minutes. Anybody have a chance to read the minutes?
It looked good to me.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Make a
Like
motion
consent
that we do it as presented.
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Second.
Any discussion? We're good?
The voided checks were there.
Yes, so there is an updated check log now to reflect one voided check. So if you look at the packet, there is an updated check log.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
That's what I did. Yeah.
Or did I didn't hear that? All I heard was the minutes.
No, I said the minutes and
Okay, I'm
the
sorry.
bills in the minutes.
I'll read.
Yeah, so Miller already made a motion and Dave seconded.
I just heard the minutes and sorry about that.
Okay. So let's go for a vote. Director Silva,
Yes.
Director McAdoo,
Yes.
Director Day,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Good. Station Subcommittee. I did talk to Director Miller earlier in the week and he's willing to be on the subcommittee and talked to Director Day on the way into the door and he's willing to be on it too, so. I think,
And we're gonna have 2 board, 2 professional, 2 volunteer. Was that the plan?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you're gonna have a chief officer
I'll be there basically to facilitate, but close to the group to, take.
Has those other members been selected yet, or?
I think I still need names from the volunteers.
Yeah.
That's gone to the association president and they can,
Are you looking for any career guys to volunteer for this? Or
I got that.
what do you got them? Okay. Number B3 is a strategic plan.
So I'll pass these out if you can put those down. This is just the same strategic plan contract from ESCI that I sent out last month. That's the hard copy for you. ESCI was present at our workshop, had the opportunity to ask them questions. So at this point, it's a matter of, do we want to continue pursuing ESCI? Are we going a different direction? Are we not going to do it? Just need to know where we go from here.
I don't understand why we can't do that ourselves. We did the 1 years ago, a couple of them ourselves, which we, some citizens from the committee, or from the community. A couple of board members that, I don't know why we can't continue with that. Just take the old plan and bring it up to date.
The old plan does not apply. It is so far out of where we are now. It's, I mean, you had a different administration, you had a different direction entirely. And then you have this restart in July of 21. So we would be starting from the ground up. So I guess it's a matter of how you want me to spend my time.
I think we're still building a fire department. We're still, how many months are we old, chief?
19, 18,
18 months, we're not even 2 years old yet.
right? Still in our
So,
infancy.
I think we should pay a company to do it for us and not tie up his time trying to build this thing.
Well, he wouldn't be totally doing it himself.
Well,
I'd
but he
expect
would-
the committee put together, you know.
It's gonna fall on me. I mean, I've been part of these multiple strategic plans and it's gonna be I'm gonna have to run it. So
I agree with not tying up Chief's time. You know, I looked over the old one. And there's quite a bit of data there that applies to where we're at now. It's changing the numbers for paid, for volunteers, that kind of stuff. It's a little bit hard for me to pay this company just to basically change those numbers and give us that data. I mean, it's the focus of basically where we're going. I kind of feel that nobody knows better where we're going than us. I just question what they're gonna bring to the table that we don't know. And I'm not saying they wouldn't, it's just I have that question. So I'm on the fence.
It seemed like 2/3 of that was a bunch of data about our community and fluff.
Yes, not real.
Typically that document is, I mean, it's usually full of that kind of stuff, right?
It was like, we wanted to have A goal, B goal, C goal, and this is who's gonna do it and when. I mean, I just didn't see that much value.
Like I said, I can do it for you, but I'm not real excited about taking that on. It's just one of those, you know, it's a time consuming thing, but. And again, I'll come back to, we don't have to make a decision on this. It's not like we've got to move forward with a strategic plan today, but
I
I've got it on the agenda. So
I think what we need to do is get that strategic plan in front of us at the next board meeting. And we go through it. And look at what. Could basically be plagiarized, which they could do. And then what really is the teeth of what we really need. And figure out if what they're gonna provide is worth that money that's gonna be spent. I don't know, I really wonder about all these plans and everything, especially when you have another outside company that's clear across the country doing it for us. They're not local, they don't live in our community. They just try and collect data. And then, of course, I know that we're all gonna talk and say what we want and everything else. I mean, we could almost do that by printing off all the questions and giving everybody a chance to just answer those questions. We compile it and then we look at the data and see what everybody wants and what they feel the needs are for our future. So that's just my thoughts. I don't know.
Do you really want one?
I kind of need one. I said before. We're pretty much just going at the direction that I feel like we need to go, so I'm taking it on and going, well, that's where we need to go next, that's kind of the next thing. And it's done without a whole lot of input, other than what I gather from this group here today, Jim, the meetings. And then just conversations internally, so it's very informal. And it's not really, there's no data driving it by any means, because I don't have a lot of solid data from. Well, due to the breakup with Clackamas and whatnot, so. I feel like it's arbitrary, but. I mean, if I go the wrong direction and then this group decides they don't like it, I'm the one hanging for it, so.
I'm not opposed to looking at it together. I
I'm
thought
not,
there was a lot of fluff in it.
Yeah, I,
so not, that might be a good idea. So. What do you think, Matthew? I'm thinking that,
I'm just mulling it over. I think I need more time to think about it and really what the consequences would be if we did it, I'd wanna ask some other professionals and just get some answers to some questions. I think there's value in everything everybody's saying here. Yeah, so I just would have to really think about it.
and you said, we're young, there's not a lot of data. Maybe it would be good to do it ourselves this time, because there's not a lot of data.
well,
We can put that together ourselves.
so one thing I need some clarification on, you brought up the restart and, backflips and all that stuff. But I mean, that's in the past. The strategic plan is gonna be from this point moving forward, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm questioning what the restart part has with it.
Well, you need to look back and see where you come from.
Right,
Part
so
of
you're,
that
because
is
we're,
they just can go forward.
Okay. I mean, we've taken the training wheels off, haven't we?
I mean, well, I don't know if the training wheels are off yet.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay.
It's pretty darn new. We're in the same buildings we've been in forever, but
I think our response
not very many.
plans are different, it's not what it used to be. I think even before the Clackamas operational takeover, I think the response models were different than what they are today. They're definitely different from what it was when Clackamas had it. So that plays into it. As you're looking at basically 3 sets of response models and delivery and that. Again, we don't have to decide anybody.
One thing I think at is, we want to build a new station, want to get money, I'm thinking. At $16,000, we could possibly save that. Whatever the majority decide, that's just part of what I'm thinking about.
Let me,
There was a cost.
let me answer this.
Did you write them a check or you spend the labor in-house to do it?
That's
There's
true.
always gonna be a cost.
Let me ask this question, so. Going back to the firehouse committee. How long do you see that? Going on. Before we have kind of some decisions and some data collected?
That's a hard question, because I really don't know. I've been trying to think about just that and how much time would be spent. Obviously, we don't want it to drag on for months and months or years. It's
What I'm getting at is, I feel that would be data that these people should have.
right, and I've had a lot of thought about that. I almost feel like we jumped the gun trying to move forward with the station before the strategic plan, because one should kind of follow the other.
I kind of see it the other way. We should have our station plans kind of figured out, and then they are knowing what's going on there with that.
Data would be driving the station is what that comes back to. Because you're looking at future goals, future numbers of volunteers, future number of career staff, your call volume increases, where your neighborhoods are growing, et cetera, et cetera, et
That's
cetera.
true.
So it's just projection.
Yeah.
I'm also sitting at the next board meeting and running through the high points of that strategic plan. To get it in our heads.
Yeah,
What we're looking for, and that'll help us decide if we're willing to spend $15,000.
we probably should have done that at the workshop in hindsight.
Yeah.
We should have pulled that out. We should have all
Man,
been going over that. And
who all has a copy of it? I'm pretty sure.
we all do. It was all emailed to us.
Yeah, but, okay, I've still got a hard copy somewhere.
Yeah, it would have been out like email before the work session.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we have it, yeah.
That's the last time we looked at it. Just a kind of look.
I'll just print it on a Portland printer. What do
There
you
you
think
go.
of that one?
Yeah. I'm gonna print mine on a jail.
Yeah, say that a little louder there.
Okay. Well, at least we have a direction. And
Yeah.
Put it on the agenda for next month. Okay. B4 is Budget Committee members. We have a vacant position expiring June 30th, 2023. And a vacant position expired last June.
Who were those
30th.
two members? Have they been read?
One was Wheeler, Hank Wheeler.
Well,
Yeah,
Wheeler,
when I contacted him last spring, he was kind of cranky that I even called him because he apparently said he had quit before that or some point.
Yeah, I'd actually called him and he just felt that being it was a new organization, it was time for a new committee member. Who's the one that's expiring?
and I think it's
Maureen?
Karen, I think.
Maureen Stevens expires, no, she did
She
expire.
did expire.
Yeah.
Maureen did.
Yeah, she expired. Karen expires at the end of this fiscal year.
Has anybody reached out to them to see if they want to still do it? I mean, Marine is an asset in my opinion. Would be-
Bank manager.
Yes.
She hasn't come in the last couple of years, I don't think.
No, Karen didn't come last year. Marine came the year before that.
Maureen, I met with her here individually like I did with everybody else. but I
That's
think-
right, because she was on vacation.
Yeah, but I think she couldn't be here for the committee meeting.
She wasn't here with the committee
Yeah.
meeting, but she was here. to see
Yes,
the chief,
yeah.
and Karen couldn't meet with you.
Yeah,
Right, that's what it was.
She was on.
somebody can't get on Zoom. Oh, well.
I
Who is it?
I could-
With 7 people up there.
Probably Patrick.
yeah, probably.
Oh, well.
I think they should be reached out to and see if they're still interested in doing it or not.
Well, yeah, Karen is still good. She's still valid. So
Okay.
it's just gonna be Maureen's.
Maureen,
she
yeah.
wants to
We're
do.
just trying to fill her spot. But as soon as fill Marine's spot, but as soon as Karen, as soon as we get the budget approved, she's expired. We'll need to fill hers.
Okay.
Can she redo it? I would, she
I
wants.
think she could.
That's up to you guys.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you know, I see them as assets. I mean, if they don't want to do it, I understand. And then we go to try and find somebody else.
Okay.
So. We still have Bruce on that list, don't we?
Yeah, Bruce.
Yeah, he's
Okay,
great.
yeah.
He filled a vacant spot, so he.
Yep, he's good. Okay.
So is there a conflict, like, let's say a volunteer wanted to do it, could they be on it? No.
You can't be a volunteer and on the budget committee.
You're the actual volunteer that's on it.
Yeah. Can't double volunteer.
So you do need to find one for a vacant spot, potentially two. Maybe we would advertise it, see if anybody's interested, so
Yeah.
on top of looking for somebody. And we may get multiple people, so if Marie didn't want to do it, then that's
Yeah.
kind of easy, but if there's more than. If there's more than what we have vacant, then this group needs to interview them and. Every consensus.
Did anybody check with Karen? I know she was traveling that last time, fell on a trip and she'd already scheduled it.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody check?
I have both Maureen and Karen's cell phone in my phone. Do you want me to check with both of them?
Okay.
I'll call you tomorrow, chief.
Let me know.
Okay.
All right. B5, C 800 radio group. Tell us what we owe, chief.
Yeah. That has gotten better.
Good.
I heard that Colton paid theirs.
Before we move on,
Oh,
this is only kind of related to budget committee, but there are 3 of you coming up for reelection, so I
Yeah.
just want to make sure you guys have the dates, info.
Thank you.
First of March, isn't it?
You
Signed
can-
up by?
Yes, the last date of file is March 16th. First date of file is February 6th.
I thought it was the first.
Yeah, I just printed this off. today, so.
I got
I
a-
might have plugged up and see if they've got it all filled out.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to put up with me another 4 years. If I
I'm
get
not, I'm not,
You get
running- I'm
elected.
not running again. You said another 4 years gone.
So, anyway, I just want to make sure you guys have that information.
Yeah.
Who's all that?
Miller,
These 3,
myself and McAdoo.
you're stuck with us. Okay.
You haven't been here long enough to get out of this yet. Yeah.
That's that long.
Okay,
Goes along.
Oh, wow.
All right, so C800 group. We had a meeting yesterday.
you getting any better over there?
We're getting better. Yeah, we're getting
Are
better.
they getting better?
Yes,
Okay,
so. The number that you have on here, look at the Estacada fire, the original anticipated amount was $114,020. With that, when that went after ARPA money, it looks like that's a go. We also got a sale of some towers to the Columbia 911 system for $900,000. That whittled it away again. And then they also got a credit from Motorola for $306,000, which equates to a final number for Estacada of $51,620. So basically that number's been more than cut in half, which is tremendous. I'll talk a little bit more about the upcoming budget for C800 here in a minute. With that, they're only about 75% there as far as that is the final number, so things could change, but they're feeling pretty good about it. And the better part is that they will invoice us after the new budget year begins, so we don't have to try and figure out how to fund that out of this year's budget. But 51,620 looks like that's where we're gonna land. And then, of course, you got every other C800 group partner agency in there too, for reference, I suppose.
So who, I mean, those, how many people lost their jobs and stuff over this?
yeah, better off.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
So the what did they call him? John Hartsock was he ran the thing, C800. I don't remember what the title they had for him. And he'd been running it since 1998. And somewhere along the way, the executive board for this group became complacent. About the time that I came here was about the time there was a tremendous changeover in that whole executive board group. As the chief, I'm an executive member just by virtue of, along with a number of other people. So Don Johnson from Lake Oswego, George Tro from Canby Police, and I can't remember the third guy's name, basically got together on this. And when there's a problem, started looking into it and found there was just an abuse of funds in the system, how it was put together. Came up with a plan. The plan is good. These guys have put a tremendous amount of time into this, considering what it is. It's a subcommittee, or more or less. But anyway, pursued removing John Hartsock from that position and making him go away. There was talk of a lawsuit. The lawyers basically said you're going to spend as much money, and lawyers is what you're going to get out of it. As it turns out, somehow he ended up on a governor appointed committee for third generation CAB systems and 911 systems in the state. So we're trying to figure that one out right now. So that's Oregon for you.
Politics.
Political comment.
so how come Clackamas County AMR was assigned a charge, but then it's 000?
Because they paid.
They paid, okay.
Yeah, they paid.
So is this 1.4 million here, is that shortfall or like their accounts payable for debt, or what is?
That is basically debt at this point. Debt shortfall. We don't have funds to cover the 1.4 million to continue forward. That's what that total amount would zero this whole thing, would put us back to being solid.
And then they would be able to operate off of their.
And then we
operating
can
revenue.
continue based on,
County.
yeah, based on the revenue that each agency pays, depending on your user fees.
So this 51,000 is a big chunk because of years of things going wrong.
Right. It's not
And then
because
our
it's
yearly amount would be substantially less.
our yearly amount's just what it's been. I think we already paid that for the year, didn't we? The yearly.
Yes.
Well, how much was our
Remember?
yearly thing?
I don't remember offhand what it was, but
I can go back and look
Didn't we pay that
and
last
let you
one?
know.
I think so.
I remember seeing it.
It was recently.
Yeah.
It was actually,
I
yeah,
remember what the number was.
$2,000 a year? Or is it-
What's that?
is it $2,000 a year?
No, it's more than
So
two.
let's pick it up.
I want to say like 23.
Now,
Yes.
now we're gonna take-
That's what I remember.
23.
It was in the 20s.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 30.
I was just throwing numbers out so you could get curious. you could
So-
look it up.
How did they decide? How did they decide who has to pay what burden here?
So yeah, depending on what you would typically pay, it's a percentage. So it's broken down based on like, I think it's number of radios and call
Okay.
volume and things like that.
Clackamas Fire,
They've got a pretty big bill.
Clackamas Fire now gets Gladstone Fire, dollars, and then I don't know, Sandy's probably still coming out their budget.
Yes, those come out of Sandy's for this
Yeah.
current year,
Yeah.
what they're looking at.
I just wondered, did the sheriff's office and AMR go ahead and pay the first line there?
Yeah,
Yes.
they did.
Wow.
They should have waited. didn't
No,
Well, no, because then we had to pay more.
How come we're not seeing what each one of those paid?
They-
Zeroed out.
I think they paid the full on.
Yeah, they've
deal.
already done it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if they could balance, it's probably balanced out if I had to, yes, I don't know offhand.
26,400.
How much?
26,400.
A year, okay,
And then that again, have dependent on usage and all that.
Sure. we grow, we're gonna go more radios, and we're gonna pay more. So,
So anyway, with that, obviously, we're not paying that yet. That'll be something we have to plug in for the budget for next year in anticipation of. And that will eliminate that debt. But with that, they're starting into their budget process with budget committee starting mid-February. And instead of having just the e-board as the budget committee, there's also an invite for a board member to be on that budget committee as well.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so they're expanding on that, but if we do that, I think they have to know by February 10th.
Yeah.
So if a board member here is interested, need to let me know before the 10th. I was thinking specifically of Director Day, since that is out of his world.
Oh, really?
The telecommunications.
you're a hardwire guy, right? Hardwire guy, not the radio software, radio
Because
stuff, yeah.
Some of those people work for you. From Motorola, some of the folks that sell it and,
Well,
I bought
we
from-
sell it
yeah,
and. Work on it, that might actually be something.
Yeah, you're right, it could be, huh?
We haven't done a whole lot of work with C800 with John there, but I think that'll probably change now.
Yeah, with John being gone, they hired a project manager, his name's Ron Pulicani, and he's been with Washington County 911 forever. I knew him from back over there. He's very solid. You guys got it together. His reports, his information he brings to the C800 meetings is just, it's night and day. So we're feeling very confident in what he's doing for the C800 group and that project to keep moving ahead.
So are they gonna merge C800 and Washington County potentially and then just have them take the whole thing over?
There has been no formal discussion of that, but there's some belief that's probably the direction to go. And that's, in my opinion, that's the direction it needs to go.
Well, it definitely needs accountability to move it forward.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
It's, all this is being much closely scrutinized, by the group from what it was. Obviously, our predecessors were not doing that. But those monthly meetings are, they keep them in about an hour, but they're productive. They're one of the better meetings I probably go to, but. So that's all I got for the C800 group. That's the update where things are at. I can keep this on the agenda as an item, or I can just include C800 group updates and chief's report. I know if you guys what you want to see with it though.
Yeah, I think updates would be good. And then when it comes down to the final number, then yeah, bring it to our attention.
I'll just leave it there on the agenda.
When do we think we're gonna end up paying that sometime later this year?
They'll invoice us sometime after we start our next fiscal year, fiscal budget.
Maybe November, or December.
Yeah, maybe, I'm not sure.
No, after the money comes in.
But then they may want interest between now and then too.
Could be, yeah. Okay. Before we go into staff committee reports, do we want to look and see if anybody, or we need to let the public know that if they have any comments, that public comments is coming up after staff reports, so in case somebody wants to raise their hand or do a chat or something. So, go ahead and do your staff report.
Okay. So actually, for the staff report, we will start with operations, and Chief Smith was going to give an update on apparatus builds.
All right, well, we'll get the presentation started and we can share. Everyone that's joining the meeting should be able to see this. We've had a lot of activity as of late. I started getting emails early January of pictures of progress reports. And I wanted to share that with you. I was going to start with our type 6 brush rig. And if you recall, this is the 2022 F550 chassis we bought months ago. And put $60,000 to buy the chassis. There was a big delay from Texas to get the chassis to Northside Ford. I think it was last November I reported that we have a VIN number, and that's about the only progress we've had. But the vehicle is in Medford right now being built up. Just kind of remind you of some of the specifics on the vehicle. It's a 330 horsepower, 6.7 turbo diesel. 10-speed automatic transmission. It's going to be about as heavy as our brush rig that we have currently, 19.5. It's got a 400-gallon poly tank and a 10-gallon foam tank that comes with it. I bought the biggest Briggs pump I can get, which is 23 horsepower, which is more powerful than we have currently. It's got dual 1-inch hose reels and a 360 in-view camera as a backup camera. You can see all sides. Next slide. Here it is, folks. It exists. I got an email on January 12th that the flatbed is already installed and mounted, as you can see in this picture right here. Emergency lighting is all installed minus the light bar. I think they're still having some supply issues right there. Center console is installed minus the radios, which I've contacted Bay Wireless. We were supposed to receive our BK order in December, and they still have not given me an update. So I'm trying to work around that by pre-installing antenna wiring and power cables. So when the radios do arrive, we can just plug and play basically. Cruise model charging system is all installed. Running boards are installed. The skid unit and boxes are in the middle of production right now, which they use a third-party highway products right down the road from them. So there's no pictures of those. Once all the boxes are complete and in production, they'll be broke down and then sent to a powder coating, and they'll match the color of the truck, which is, I can't remember what red, that's red. The powder coater only takes about 2 weeks to coat everything. Once everything is back from the coater, they have to reassemble the boxes, put them on the truck, put the skid unit in with the tank and pump. And that's that should be done within the next couple of weeks. So next group of pictures, we should see that. Also, while the boxes are at the powder coater, they're going to work on the single super conversion. So basically we bought a demo. It's being built right now. So the demo was a super single tire, not the dual tires that you see right there. In fact, the tape you see on the fender, that's the cutouts for the expanded fenders. The backup camera hasn't arrived yet, so they're going to check on that. It was scheduled to ship by the end of January, so that's pretty close. I gave them graphics and logo information, and they're going to put a package for me next week to approve. And I'll show you some pictures of some ideas that we've come up with. We're looking at an anticipation completion of February 27th. And at that time, I need a check in hand. I take a buddy with me and we drive down and drive it back, and then we'll take possession. Next slide. Here's the front, so you can see we're still waiting for the bumper, but there's a couple of the emergency lights. Next slide. They call it crew cab, so we'll have to see how much leg room there is in the back seats, but it looked like there's plenty from the pictures I saw. Next slide. Here's the back seats. No, that's the front seat, sorry. The vehicle was locked when we took a picture, so he just went through the side window to see it. But the console's right there, waiting on the radios, siren controls, speakers are all installed. Next slide. That's the back seat, so it's gonna be a little tight. But that's where all your electronics go, your Kuzma charger, all your fuse boxes are right there in one central location, so it's easy to repair. Next slide. That's our flatbed that's installed. Down below, you see the 3 tubes, that's where your hard suction will go. And up above that will be tool storage and hose reels and stuff.
Who built the body? The flatbed?
A flatbed bed, I believe they did. Highway Products builds
I would-
boxes, yeah. Let's go with the next slide. So here's an example of what it should look like when it's done. It's a different model, but instead of hose reels, you see boxes, but that's kind of what it'll look like. And it's got storage cages on top.
Picture, Joe, so I can look at that back picture.
What do you want to go
Yeah,
backwards?
down there.
You see the power shore plugs in the back. It's an auto eject style.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Sure. Okay, we'll jump ahead. This is, we're gonna go with the gold leaf. 3 of the rigs have the gold leaf. We're gonna keep going with that. And probably a black stripe going in the Z pattern up to the passenger door and up to meet the box. Next slide. This is the Laramie project they did. This is part of their, I think this is 2021's kind of demo they did. So we kind of like that. So I have brush 11 on the fenders, the department logo on the door, and then just rest will just be paint.
Is that those boxes down in front of the rear tires on the bottom? Is that where your hose reels are at? Is that where?
No, that's a different,
Different.
that was the 2021 project. And the 2022 did not have that. So back to hose reels, it wasn't really popular, I guess. So it's just going to be, I think it's just a regular box. Next slide.
Will ours have the single wheel in the back or?
Single wheels.
It'll go to the single wheel.
Yeah, in fact, the wheels are going from stock to 335 80R 20s radial tires. They're big. Well, plenty of clearance.
Get it off the ground.
Any questions on the Type 6?
You say February, end of February?
February 27th is the projected date of it's ready. So we're going to prepare for that,
So we should be signing that check at the next board meeting. Okay.
I think.
And that's the one being built down in Medford?
The BME, that also, we started getting some great communication. Starting on the 3rd, we got notice that a portal was created between the sales company and us. So I started getting progress reports and pictures. The 9th, they can notify me the project's already at 30%. Working on installing the cab components, installing the pump module to the frame. And the 13th, now it's 60%. So it's moving really fast. And now the body is installed on the frame, and I'll show you some pictures of that. That's kind of where we started. They didn't have the pump module in. I think, did everyone see the beginning photos from previous emails? Yes. Okay. So now on here they have the chassis with the pump module installed on it. Upper hose reels in there. This is a 500 GPM 2-stage pump, so it pumps in pressure and in volume. And that's how it's kind of a WUI vehicle. Next slide. Here's the back view of the pump module. The upper pump right there, that gives us the ability to pump and roll. And it's suck fuel, it's a diesel pump, and it's just sucked right out of the tank. So you can activate the pump from inside the cab, you can activate that pump from outside the cab. It's really user-friendly, easy to prime, easy to start. Maintenance can be kind of a nightmare because it's in a box, basically. But
Looks like a Kubota diesel though, so there's not gonna be a lot of maintenance.
no, it's pretty tough. I've had one problem in a previous type 3 I used to operate on, and it was just a diaphragm issue and it wouldn't hold the prime.
Yeah.
I think we're ready for the next slide. This is a picture of just the body that they painted, and the seam lights are on. They've added some pack mount tool boards to it, so we can mount tools to it. And SCBA bottle doors are in there. Next slide. This should be the driver's side. And I think the driver is the only person that will not have an SCBA seat, just like on the engine. So that front compartment, that's where we're still store his SCBA. Nice deep rear compartment for chainsaws, long tools, whatever we want. Next slide. Obviously, the bumper has been taken off, the stock bumper, and we're getting an extended bumper with hose storage and discharges, front mounted discharges. Hopefully you'll see that soon. Next slide. And here it is all kind of put together. So now it's really looking like a fire truck. So some of the things they're doing is we're taking the rear bench seat out. We're putting SCBA seats in, so we're more operational in the winter during inclement weather. The officer seat got switched out for an SCBA seat as well. It should have 1 or 2 cross lay compartments up on top of the pump module. It's hard to see there.
Does that have automatic chains on the rear axle?
I'd have to look. I don't remember.
Boy, that clearance there at the front of that tire
It's
looks pretty damn
pretty
tight.
high. I don't think they
Yeah.
have chains on that. I think we have to put them on manually.
Well, that's what's got me worried is if they're automatic chains, it's on the inside dual. That there, we'd put them on the outside and it looks like they're.
I want to say
clearance
that I'm
issue.
pretty confident it does not have automatic chains.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything.
Yeah, like-
Too high. All right, next slide. Here's the rear view of the vehicle. Down below, you got a nice deep compartment. We really didn't have a purpose for this other than complex storage if we wanted to. Kind of left it kind of unplanned. And once we get the vehicle, we'll kind of evaluate what we want to put in there. You got 2 areas of storage for the stretch bed, and then that middle area with stainless is all for storage. As you can see right here, that area right there, that's for the ladder. So you'll have a 3-section 22-foot ladder. And then up above is hard section. And that's about it there. It's got a lot of seam lighting. So
How come the back end colors are different than what we've been doing and what that other rig was?
that's what we decided in November. We had a discussion about it at the board about the graphic change and go with the red and black.
That red there's reflective though, isn't it?
The black is too. The black will actually reflect white.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. It's really, really visible.
The brush
Right?
rig will be, the previous pictures of the brush rig have the yellow.
Yeah, I wasn't able to change that at the
Really?
demo.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And
The bed was already built.
yep. Let's see if there's another slide. There's a picture of the officer side put together. It's looking pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Next slide. So any questions on the type 3 engine?
When's that one?
That's a good question. That was we're anticipating the first week of March. So looking at schedules and stuff, we're tentatively planning to fly out the
9th or the 13th.
9th or the 13th.
That's the one in Boise.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fly there, spend a couple hours, look at it. If we like it and we finalize it, they get the check. Then it's delivered by BME to Hughes Fire in Springfield. They do their own internal quality checks and make sure it's good to go, and then they deliver to us.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the manufacturer takes on the liability of driving it from Boise to Estacada.
So we have two new rigs, not too far apart from each other. You guys will be busy getting them ready.
Yeah. The Pierce tender, we haven't even started on that yet. That one, we're anticipating the start project on this is now March 16th with the completion of June 23rd. So we'll have to kind of watch that one carefully.
That one's really got me scared
Yep.
because we've had delay after delay on this 3 and this 6. That has to, we have to have delivery and paid for by the end of June 30th, correct?
I'm in constant communication with them. And so,
Yeah, I'll be contacting my guy at the state, find out about what we need to do if we have to get an extension. The state's going through this process with building a whole lot of type 3s and tenders as part of their big grant they're doing across the state, which is basically the same pot of money this came out of that we managed to get ahead in. And they're running into the same problem. They're actually having to take this back as part of the Senate bill in the current legislative session to bring that money forward because they're never gonna make delivery for
And
what,
that's,
100 and something tenders and brush, type 3 brush rigs that they're building.
that was Senate Bill 762, wasn't it?
762 is gonna expire, and so there's another one, I can't remember the number for it, but
So has anybody filed for an extension yet that you're aware of?
for.
Well, I remember you telling me that
Oh.
you may have to file for an extension.
I'm gonna have to ask for an extension. Ours is gonna be different because of the way we were funded with this.
Yeah.
So it's somehow it has to tie into that. Me and Travis Medina, the chief deputy, need to have a conversation.
Because we're on the hook for that.
We're on the
We
hook for
can't
it.
get an
If
extension.
we can't, if we can't expend the money, then yeah, we would be on the hook for the money not spent plus the interest earned on it over the life of. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's got me nervous as well.
Oh, I'm scared to death, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm fairly confident we'll get that extension with it, only because the state's in the same predicament, but until I actually have that in writing.
Sure, you're gonna try to get the extension now instead of waiting.
I think
Yeah.
we need to.
Yeah, because June 23rd, I think that's gonna be after our last board meeting. We would have to have a special session for it and whatnot. I just assume get the extension and not have to be so tight here.
Cause it's looking like to me, there can't be one delay or we're out of that window.
Right.
5 months away and with all the delays we've been seeing.
And we, well, say that they got it done on the 23rd. We have to take delivery. That gives it till the end of the month to get here from Florida.
yeah, but I think at that time you can finalize your payment. I
Okay.
think.
Either way,
Also kind of
it's
working
tight.
on those details. It's really tight.
It's way too tight.
And back in the beginning, when we were researching it with our committee, Pierce was the only one that could give us the opportunity. All the other manufacturers that were worthy of looking at, they couldn't even deliver it until 24 later on. So this was the only opportunity that I could find that would give us a tender within this grant timeframe. Oh.
I'm feeling pretty good about taking delivery of the type 3 and the type 6 ahead of time, but yeah, this tender is really.
So I think that's all I have.
No pictures of that one.
No,
They have the chassis,
no.
really.
No, all the people that ordered before us have their chassis, so they kind of get a batch in as they go. That's how I understand it.
I don't know.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, 3 more of your report?
Yeah.
Oh, your report. Well, that's his report, that's right.
All right, total incidents for December were 141. It's right on track with what we've been doing. Total for December, I think I had 1,510, but it's actually a little higher at 1,564 for the year
2022.
for 2022. A couple of repairs in-house, engine 333, had to replace a drop chain, which was completed by Hughes, the chain. We had rear brakes that were replaced on engine 331. We had to buy a new station air compressor. The old one wasn't keeping up and coming up to pressure.
With a little one.
Yeah, so it's $700. Second quarter low staff award points were put in. I think we already did check with that. Our SCBA flow test for packs and maps are complete. We received order from Cascade Fire Equipment for wildland hand tools. That was all part of grants. All our new recruits in the current academy have been issued masks and turnouts. We have a new station washer and dryer in service. Incidents of note, we had a porch fire on the residence in Northeast Pierce Street that was contained to the porch. Alert neighbors saw it. They were able to more or less take care of it before we had to intervene too much. Improperly discarded barbecue pellets, the cause there. We had a chimney fire that spread to the attic on South Laura Lane, caused significant damage to the structure. Occupants had working smoke detectors that alerted them early and likely prevented this from being much more catastrophic. Fire did extend into the attic while we were there. We were able to catch it. Talk about apparatus builds in the public outreach prevention world. Smoke detector grant installation was completed. We put 50 smoke alarms in several mobile home parks in the community. These places had the no smoke alarms. We did an intro to CPR and first aid for kids here. It was given in this room by Lieutenant Ben Stoddard, who's behind you on the table there. Very well received. Jumping ahead to training, we had Jen King receive her NFPA Firefighter 1 certification. Firefighters continued their training on the bailout systems. We continue updates of personnel in our Oregon DPSST record system. And as of yesterday, we finished our DPSST maintenance recertification for the 2-year period. Our volunteer firefighter academy started Saturday before. We have 11 volunteers going through the academy, and we have one from Goodland that is also joining us. Company inspector training was completed in December. Firefighter Brian Hone received firefighter of the month in December. This comes complete with his own parking space out front here. Cam Vag was the firefighter of the month in November. We put a 3rd advanced life support kit in service here in the station. This increases our pre-hospital care when off-duty paramedics or volunteer paramedics come back during periods of high call volume, which seems to happen often. Great. We received a large donation from Clackamas Fire, 6 pallets worth of firefighter personal protective equipment and EMS equipment. We've been inventorying that, and we have 45 sets of turnouts in there that equals out to over $126,000 in turnouts alone, and they have another 2 pallets for us of PPE. So we are going to be in great shape after having to struggle for the last 18 months.
What's the age on those?
They are, there are some expired. The majority of it is near new or new. There was some of it was still packaged.
Is it all Gladstone?
That is Gladstone. The next batch coming is the extra day.
Did they merge with Gladstone?
Yeah.
Operational control type of thing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
not a full merger.
Right. So we will gladly take it because we needed it. So.
Good. Get it quicker given to you than you can from the factory.
Right. We opened the administrative assistant job announcement that closed. Well, we did our first review. We had 79 applications for that position. Whittled that down to 51, and I'm currently down to about 9. So we're starting to get near the bottom of that. And hopefully next week I'll be doing the interviews, but maybe by the next board meeting we'll have that person hired. Report. Okay. The finance officer, Maya.
All right, so as I said at the beginning, the check log is updated in your packet here. We found, well, Director Miller found a mistake that I had made, so I had to check that was voided. And then other than the numbers as presented, also in addition to your packet, you'll see the Q2 LoSAP payout amount for operational volunteers and for support volunteers. We have a handful of operational volunteers that will meet their 6,000 maximum by the next quarter payout. So we're doing a good job of giving out money where it's deserved. Behind the LoSAP payouts, you'll see last month I brought up the SCIS property and casualty insurance and the increased rate. They got back to us with our final amount. We did receive the longevity credit of, well, it was a 7.36%, so $3,000 off. So our annual contribution that is due in March ends up being $44,082. That's about $5,000 more than the previous year. As they had stated, there's quite a significant increase this year.
Does workman's comp work off the quantity of people?
Of the quantity of people that
Payroll.
Or about payroll? Just payroll? No, we have to cover volunteers.
we prefer volunteers
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So it's the number of people.
Yeah, it does have a good number.
Yeah, so we got more people than we've had in a while, so that makes sense.
They're also, I believe the letter that they sent out last month said that it was. Rates are increasing everywhere, and so they had to accommodate for those increases as well, so. That means billing their,
Inflation.
otherwise we're looking good, that's all I have for finance. Oh, actually, that's not all I have. I went ahead, the chief and I discussed including in your packets while you're sitting here, the bank statements again. For reference, I know we talked about it last month, and so we thought instead of. You not having it in front of you during the board meeting, we'll print it out for you to have at the board meeting, we just won't print in excess. So that we're not wasting a bunch of paper.
Okay.
But I know that it was brought up and I wanted to make sure that you had the ability to look through the items that you wanted to see in front of you.
Are these bank statements part of the
online,
email? The
yeah.
email? Okay, good, yeah. But I take the board packet email and I keep it on a chronological folders. So if there wasn't things in the electronic one that aren't here, then. So if it's all in there, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm really done.
Thank you.
Now, public comment. Anybody that has a raised hand or a chat,
No raise hands yet.
want to raise hands or any chats? We have a person in the public here.
Yeah, on that turnouts, gear that you got from Gladstone, how can you use it for esticated fire when it has Gladstone logo on it?
Does that actually before it'll go to Northwest Safety Clean where they will take off black misfire. They'll take off the nameplates. We're just discussing that today. They have to send it in as one big bulk order so they can do it all at once. In the meantime, yeah, well, these guys are in the academy. They'll be using it. It'll say Clackamas until it gets to Northwest Safety Clean.
For Gladstone?
So Gladstone are.
Okay,
I mean, for example, mine needs to go still, because it still has Columbia River Fire on the back of it. Nameplate needs to come off there.
So it makes sense to do a big batch of them,
Right.
ones and twos, certainly.
Right. If we tell them we have a big order, then they can plan for it. That's what they do for the day or two it takes them to do it. They just go through and take care of them all at once.
Do they put new laws?
They can. They won't. I just leave it blank.
They'll do.
So yours still has Morrissey on it.
Never did.
Wow.
Wow, thanks for that.
You're entitled to get even with them on something. Okay.
It'll happen.
All right, so no public comment.
One couple of comments.
Yeah.
There's one of them. Well, we have no more, yeah.
well, I can always ask a lot of
You
questions.
could go ahead.
I got one.
Oh.
On the run reports for December.
Mhm.
The data that's on this is for November.
Oh.
41 calls,
141.
at least on the one I got, that's what it shows.
Or did we have 141 calls 2 months in a row? I'd have to look.
It says right here that it's November 1 through November 30th. Right below the blue line.
Yeah, you're right. Grab the wrong one.
I thought, well, if we're consistent, if we're doing the same thing every month.
That's very good.
Did November go well?
You did. I didn't know we could start scheduling these calls in. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, good catch.
I have one more question.
Okay.
Okay, on the fire line. You know, when there's, you call in to see if it's a burn line, sorry,
Burn line.
burn line. I know that, I don't know if it's ODOT or if it's, ODF or not ODOT, I'm sorry.
DEQ.
DEQ, they say that it's either burn or no burn, and then the chief can decide whether it's a burn day or not based on how it is around here. Like if it's high winds, then common sense would tell you not to have it a burn day, right? So the chief can say no on that. Is that correct? I know the chief can't say it's a burn day if they say no, it's not.
Well, we're outside the DEQ boundary, so if DEQ says no burning, then we can still burn because we're not in that. But if they say yes, it is allowed, we can still come back and say, no, we're not going to allow it. We have that authority.
Right, right. So when a week or so ago, when even on the news, it said it was gonna be high winds, and then in Estacada, it was even higher. And up where we live, it was quite, the gusts were really high. Why was it a burn day? And there were several of us that called in and never got calls back.
It wasn't deemed to be a problem is all I can tell you. I don't know which days you're looking at specifically
Okay.
without going back.
The first day that it was said it on the news, it was like, I don't know if it was a Tuesday or what, but anyway, there were several of us that called and asked about that, left messages for you to call, and we never got called back.
I didn't get any messages.
I gave it to Nikki.
I don't have any messages for you. If you want to talk afterwards about it, we're happy to get together with you.
Well, why would you, if it's that high around here, why would you allow burning?
Without having a threat,
A threat?
there has to be a fire threat,
Oh,
threat of fire spreading. If it's raining and it's windy, what's the threat?
It wasn't. It was windy, but it wasn't raining.
Right, but it's been raining off continuously for weeks. Things are wet, it's not gonna take off on us, it hasn't happened. So there's no threat deemed. So if I say, yeah, we're not gonna burn because there's high winds in, I don't know, the Georgia area, for example. But there's no wind in Spring Water is a terrible example, but if there was no wind on that end and I say no burning, then we're getting calls on the other end. How come we can't burn? There's really no winning with the public on that. It's one side or the other. There's for every 6 calls we get to say, how come you're burning? There's 6 more that say they want to burn, they're just, it's back and forth on both sides. The information I've gotten from the board is that it's supposed to be allowed, that we're gonna allow burning when we can, because we're outside the DEQ area, and I believe there was some past history with that, and I'm sure Director McAdoo has that background.
I will say one thing, you might not agree, but loggers burning slash pounds. They like the wind blowing because it stirs up the pounds and they burn faster. And they usually have their equipment around there to control it, but. From past experience, the loggers like the wind blowing because it burns that pound faster, so.
Yeah, typically those are outside of our realm anyway, that falls under ODF.
Yes,
That's a different animal altogether.
yes.
Do you ever shut it down in the winter though? I mean, like we get these cold icy events. I mean, I can. kinda see
Yeah, not so
I-
much in the winter,
I
obviously.
burn a lot and I'm like, well, 40 miles an hour. Sometimes it's nice for burning stumps, but
Yeah, the pound burns faster.
yeah, I know ODF does.
The burning thing is funny, you know, I mean, we get. Like I said, for everybody that calls up and says, why are you burning? We got all the other people who call up and want to know why they want to burn, you know, it's one of those types of things. It's a funny world. Summertime when it's fire season, that's easy, you know, it's fire season. We're not gonna burn. But otherwise, yeah, it's a guess.
So people call me all the time on this. So we're outside of DEQ,
Right,
but we base our burn days on air quality conditions.
we don't.
Oh, okay, we're not doing that.
We don't do it here because we're outside of that DEQ boundary.
Okay, I guess I haven't listened good enough to that.
It's a hot topic. I mean, these guys just have to take the phone calls most of the time and they'll tell you that they're giggling because they're hearing it from all sides.
Right, but then ODF declares a no burn season too,
Right.
and then we have to follow that.
You're right, because we're in their boundary, so there's also a state fire marshal rule that goes into effect when the wind is at a certain point, and the humidity is at a certain point, then we can't burn, and that's not even an option, it's no burning. So we do have to follow that, but those are pretty extreme, those are typical in the summertime. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, it's wherever we want it to go. But so typically this time of year, we're allowing burning, it's open. I mean, it's gonna have to be real extreme where we haven't had rain or anything for a long time. And the winds are gonna have to be extreme to go with it, but traditionally, it's not a fire threat in this time of year so much.
For information, that DEQ boundary is down around Barton there. That's where that boundary is. And that's where it's been, and boring, the people in Eagle Creek used to get upset because boring fire would only allow the fall and spring burning season. And the people in Eagle Creek were outside that boundary, and boy, they used to get upset. The boring said, we're not regulating two areas, we're just shutting her all down.
Yeah.
Just for information.
Okay. We good?
Yeah.
Still no hams are raised up there either.
No. Okay. Do you have any board comments? Anybody?
I'm happy about the C800 because that is a nice, pleasant piece of paper.
It's better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I
It's
mean,
still not pleasant, but it's better.
well, but yeah, but we already knew what Hardstock did, and we already knew that it could have been a lot worse with his management style.
A whole lot of credit goes to the Don Johnson and George Tro from Canby and from Lake Oswego. Those guys they about lived this project for 6 months, probably trying to figure it out.
Courage. Anybody else? Okay. You need correspondence?
No correspondence.
Yeah. Community items. John, where's the next pancake breakfast?
I'll be this Saturday in Clarkson Valley Baptist Church, 8 to 11.
All right.
You're ready for it. won't you?
Yeah.
I got it on my calendar. And of course, Springwater Grange is always the first Saturday of each month. And it's 7 to 11. I look forward to seeing you all there.
So Shirley doesn't have to cook at least 2 days a month, right?
Yeah.
So. All right. Any other community items? Anything happening around town?
I'm aware of.
Okay, so. Before we break into executive session, what do you do with the people on here? Because how are they gonna know when to come back? Are we gonna have to go somewhere?
What we've done in the past is we've just shut it off as a break and then come back on.
But are they gonna stay on? Do they stay on?
If they want to, we can mute internal.
Okay,
Right, they won't be able to hear anything.
Okay, so we're gonna get ready to go into an executive session and the people that are on the Zoom meeting, just stay on. We're gonna mute you guys. And we'll let you know when we come back.
Should be coming back just to close out the meeting.
Close out the meeting, right?
So there wouldn't be any other business following. So it's
Okay. Are we taking a break?
I'm gonna go get some Advil. Ibuprofen.
Okay. Okay, let's take a quick break before we end this regular meeting.
I already have that.
Yeah. $203.
That's, it's an old site.
Yeah.
I'll confirm that.
You can only handle 250. Well.
So I was.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna close the regular board meeting. And then we're gonna open up an executive session and we'll be back. And we're gonna have the people on Zoom. Hold on and if they want to, and then we'll come back on here in a little while.
Thought we already did this.
We didn't do it yet, no,
Oh, okay.
formally, because everybody just kind of got up and walked away.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna start the executive session now. Okay, we're gonna adjourn the executive session. And we're gonna go back to our regular board meeting. Okay,
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint President Oliver and Vice President Miller to contact the district's attorney for a contract review.
I will second it.
any discussion? Okay, let's go for a vote. Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Day,
Yes.
Director McAdoo,
Yes.
and Director Silva.
I don't think it's necessary, but if you want to do that, I don't think it's necessary to make the motion, but yeah, sure.
Yes, okay,
Yeah, I'd like to make another motion that we set up a special meeting for Thursday, January 26th of 2023 at 6 p.m.
You good with that date, everybody, or?
I don't know, I'm sure I'm gonna make it work.
Mexican.
All right, I'll second that.
go for a vote. Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Day,
Yes.
Director McAdoo,
Yes.
Director Silva.
Yeah.
All over here. Okay. Any other,
It's 26 6 p.m. Yeah.
any other board business before we adjourn? We're all good? Okay. This meeting is now adjourned. The next regular board meeting is going to be February 16th, 2023. Except for this new one,
Special. You got.
special meeting, and I gotta confirm that date
Yes.
to make that sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I understand.
And the intent of your request for that date is that he can contact you again to change it with all the people if it's not available.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it a public meeting?
Yeah.
Yes, it'll be a public meeting.
No.
Well, it'll be an executive session.
Yeah, but there'll also be a public meeting.
Yes,
Yeah.
public meeting, and we could go into executive
Yeah,
session.
good,
if need to. Okay.